Okay. I think we're sort of there. So, well, anyone that wants to join, I will let them in, of course. But let's start out. The whole idea is, well, first of all, welcome to you all. I just explained a little bit, maybe not sure if everyone heard, but the idea is that I put everyone on mute. And if you have a question, you can raise your hand at the bottom by reactions, raise your hand. And then I know that you have a question, or put it in the chat so I can ask the question to, well, maybe Stuart or Gerben or Matthias to answer the question. The idea is that we want to start out with a little bit of an introduction of ourselves, then an overview of the project by Stuart, an overview about a little bit more background information about the ship and the voyage by Gerben, and then if you have any more questions that we haven't told you about yet, then you're welcome to ask them. I'll start with me. I'm Elvira. I work for the shipping office of the Oosterschelde. So if you have any questions and you call the shipping company, there's a big chance you have me on the phone or by email. And I've been working for the shipping company for about 10 years now. So, well, most of the times I know the answers, and otherwise I'll find out. Maybe I will give the word to Matthias, my co-worker in the office, to introduce himself.
Yes, I'm the newest member of our office team. But my first voyage was in my mother's tummy on the Oosterschelde, so quite some experience in that because Gerben is my father, and I'm really looking forward to to go into this adventure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Stuart, maybe. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Elvira's frozen, but maybe Stuart can go on with his introduction.
Perfect. I'm not sure if you can see me. I think Elvira needs to maximize.
Yeah,
oh, wonderful. Perfect.
Should work.
Okay. Perfect. Well, it's a pleasure to speak to you all tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. My name is Stuart McPherson. I'm the founder and project leader of the Darwin200 project, and I'm going to give you an overview about the project shortly. So thank you so much for coming.
Gerben?
Okay. My name is Gerben Nap. I'm the manager of the shipping company Oosterschelde. I'm also one of the captains of the ship. And I've been working for the ship for a long time already, since she was restored. And I've done two more circumnavigations with the ship. So I'm quite experienced in, let's say, the technical questions you may have. Elvira, should I just continue with some short story about the ship?
Yeah, perfect.
Then I will try to share my screen with you. Let me see. Can you see this? Yeah, you can. Huh? This is obviously the Oosterschelde, the ship I've been working for the past 30 years already. Next to that, I do other work as a captain, but this ship is not just a ship. She's one of the very few historical sailing ships. Here you see a picture of her being launched in 1917. Although there's very few historical ships left nowadays. In those days, there were quite some, and she was one of the approximately 500 three-masted topsail schooners being built in the Netherlands at that time. Here you see a few of them. She was built for a general cargo, so taking everything, any place, anywhere, built for the transatlantic trade, so a heavy built ship. But soon after the First World War, she was sold to Danish owners. She traded in the Baltic at that time, had another world war, like here on this picture. And then she was being modernized. And the strange thing is, many people see this picture and they say, hey, is this the same ship? Yes, she is. This is Oosterschelde. In the 60s, she was modernized, and actually that kept her alive. She kept trading until in the 80s when we found her. And she proved to be the last one of all these 500 three-masted topsail schooners still existing. So we thought we should restore her. So we established a foundation, tried to raise some money, and we started to bring back her old nose. And then, of course, in the midships, we did some changes, as you can see, and at the end of the ship as well. And then finally, well, this is a very brief summary of what we did all those years. This is the ship directly after the restoration. And from that moment on, I was involved. We needed to keep the ship under sail, and that meant that we have to keep up our own pens. And we did that by sailing the oceans and not taking cargo anymore, but passengers, guests, like you will be, perhaps. This is one of these pictures we made underway. Being on a historical sailing ship underway, it's sometimes hard work. As you can see here, we have no winches. There's no other power than our elbows and our arms to pull in the sheets as we're doing here. It may even be a little bit challenging. This is a bit wet, as you see the man standing there. But if you look at the horizon, you can see it's quite a challenging picture to take. We couldn't be stopped, you could say. We went on until we were very much in the north and the south of the oceans. We traveled to the North Pole, and we traveled to cities all over the world. I entered this one for Stu specifically. This is his London the Tower Bridge. As I said, we traveled from the north. This is Svalbard, the North Pole, over the equator. Here you see me many years ago, crossing the equator for the first time, and to the South Pole, Antarctica. Well, that's a very brief summary of what we all did the past decades. Now we are actually looking at something really interesting. Stu came to me and asked me if I would be interested in undertaking a huge voyage with him. And actually, I said, of course, yes, of course. And this is the voyage. We start here in Plymouth, like Darwin did. We sail down here, Tenerife, Canary Islands, Cape Verde, and then to Fernando de Noronha, over the equator, this leg. And then we follow the Brazilian coast down together with the current down to Salvador de Bahia, still tropical, Rio de Janeiro, still tropical, slowly going to the more moderate, how you say, weather patterns, Buenos Aires, Montevideo, going down to Stanley, Malvinas, as they call them, the Falkland Islands, as the English call them, and then through a Strait of Magellan to Punta Arenas. From there on, we will actually go to the Pacific, the Great Ocean, and go up again, following the current again up north to Concepcion, Valparaiso, Callao, and then finally go via Puerto Lucia, Ecuador, to Galapagos Islands. Of course, the Galapagos Islands is one of our major hubs in this voyage. I mean, already the part in the south of South America, that was an area where the Beagle, the ship of Charles Darwin, spent a lot of time, where the captain of the Beagle spent a lot of time to chart all these difficult waters there. It's amazing. But also, of course, Galapagos, they are the, let's say, the, how do you say that? This is the symbol of Darwin's thoughts, all in Galapagos. From there on, we go down south again to Easter Island, over this Great Pacific, to Mangarifa, the dangerous islands, to Papeete, French Polynesia, Cook Islands, the Kingdom of Tonga, and finally ending in Fiji on the other side of the oceans. The biggest oceans of all. I mean, we take some detours, but even if you would do it in a direct line, it's about 10,000 miles, only water, beautiful. And then we go down again from the top tropical waters to the moderate waters at New Zealand. We will have some time off there. Well, it's not off, but we need to do some maintenance on the ship. She will be dry docked, we'll do some maintenance. And then we cross the Tasman Sea to Sydney, down to Hobart, and then, well, if you can express it like this, even downer, even more down to Christchurch, and then further down you cannot get around Cape Horn on a very long legs on the Roaring 40s, the Screaming 50s as they call them, between the Antarctic Peninsula and South America to Stanley again. From there on, via South Georgia, Tristan da Cunha, the most remote island in the world, I would say, to Cape Town. Another period of recuperation of the ship, some maintenance, and then a very interesting leg back home, but also a leg straight from the south to the north, crossing all the weather systems that we have in this world via St. Helena, Ascension Island, Azores, and finally back to Falmouth. Okay.
Thank you, Gerben. And I think Stuart will tell a little bit more about the project, about the Darwin200 project.
Absolutely. So can you see my screen if I share this? Hopefully that's coming up now. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
Beautiful. All righty. Well, thank you so much, everyone, again for coming. So it's an absolute honor to be working with Gerben and his wonderful team. The project that this enables is called Darwin200. It has literally been 10 years of work to make it reality, and it's been a huge undertaking. It basically has 3 key objectives. The first objective is to select and train the very best and brightest 200 young scientists from around the world, one from each of 200 countries and states from across the globe. The second objective is to inspire and engage 200 million students right the way around the world by beaming activities and projects into classrooms in countries across the globe. And the third project is to undertake some really exciting research and PhD programs as we sail around the globe to undertake some really interesting studies. We're incredibly honored to have 2 of the most remarkable conservationists alive, Dr. Jane Goodall and Dr. Sylvia Earle, as patrons, and Charles Darwin's great-great-granddaughter, Dr. Sarah Darwin, as a key supporter. So we're absolutely honored to have these 3 remarkable scientists and conservationists as part of this project. Well, as Gerben has very kindly given an overview of the voyage, we're following the route of the Beagle. There's a few tweaks, as you might notice. Darwin, well, I really should say the Beagle went backwards and forwards several times up and down, north and south along the coast of South America. We've simplified it. We've also added in a few additional locations, such as Easter Island, simply because it's sort of a crime to go past such an amazing place. And rather than crossing the Indian Ocean, which Darwin did do, but only landed at Cocos Keeling and Mauritius, we've actually made it a little bit more interesting going back under Cape Horn and to South Georgia and Tristan da Cunha, which, as Gerben very kindly showed. Well, quite simply, the voyage of the Beagle was, without exaggeration, the greatest natural history adventure of all time. The dazzling rainbow of animals, plants, landscapes is perhaps the brightest slice of our world imaginable. And you guys had the chance to come along and take part and see some of these amazing places and amazing wildlife. Just to focus a little bit more on the project and the goals. So, as I mentioned earlier, we're selecting these incredible 200 young people. These are not normal young people. These are young people that have already achieved extraordinary and exceptional feats and accomplishments. We're starting the selection process in a few months. And to say that the goal is to get 1 from each of 200 countries and states right the way around the world. Selected specifically for one reason only, their sheer raw ability to change the world for the better and drive change. Say they're 18 to 25-year-olds. They're coming to the ports in which the ship docks. So they're not on the open leg voyages, they're in the ports. And we basically partner them with local NGOs to undertake really focused, life-changing projects that give them the skills they need to take forward for the next 50 years to hopefully change the world for the better. They become the living legacy of the project. And I say that the goal is then they go back to their home countries and drive change and become the elite decision makers and environmentalists in the world of tomorrow. The next project, as I say, is to create the world's most exciting classroom to inspire 200 million youngsters in schools right the way around the globe. And anyone that knows me knows that I spend my life creating resources for schools, and we've shipped out about 400 tons of books and DVDs and seed kits and everything else to schools around the world. This is a global extension of that project, and we're going to be beaming live experiments, projects, competitions, activities, documentaries, weekly nature hour lectures, interviews, non-stop as we go around the globe from some of the most exciting places on Earth. We've already tested this recently through our UK voyages and had schools from China to Mongolia take part, so we know it works. The last element is these research projects, and we're going to be focusing on 5 main areas: coral reef surveys, habitat surveys, plastics and pollution and garbology, whale and dolphin projects, and pollution solution projects. And I should add, within our Darwin200 budget, we're going to be offsetting twice the quantity of carbon we use, so it has a net benefit as well as a result of the voyage. Very quickly, my last concluding slides to show you what we have done so far. We undertook 2 test voyages to get our systems ready and see what works and what doesn't work and what it's like working with young scientists. We undertook a 7-week voyage with the Pelican of London in 2020 and a 13-week voyage last year in 2022. We sailed both times right the way around the UK, bringing on board about 120 young scientists and trainee sailors over those two voyages. We're now absolutely honoured to be working with Gerben and the spectacular Oosterschelde, which is honestly one of the most beautiful and spectacular tall ships afloat. So sign up either at a Dutch tall ship website or Darwin200 and take part in what's quite simply one of the greatest adventures of all time. So we're here now to answer any questions. We'll be here as long as you wish, for as many questions, as many queries that you have to answer. So thank you very, very much for listening to my quick overview.
So, has anyone got a question? I will look at the overview if someone has a... well, the first one comes through the chat. I think it's a question for Stuart. We should carbon offset our flights. Is there a proposal for that? Or should we do our own? For instance, I give trees and Pretera. I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent idea. I always offset my flights when I fly around the world. Most airlines absolutely have policies and options to do that, especially international carriers. So absolutely, I'm going to be personally doing that for all the flights that I do and all of the flights we book for the Darwin leaders. So I strongly advise that. That's a really good idea.
Perfect. Hugh, maybe you can unmute and ask your question.
Yes, I have a question about how you characterize the different legs. The one that's crossing the Atlantic to Brazil is characterized as a category 3. Can you give me a little better understanding of that? And could you also address the fact or issue of, have you done that before? And do you run into the doldrums? I'm trying to get some sense of how much sailing versus motoring.
I think it's a good question for Gerben to answer.
Yes, well, it's of course not a science, like it's not mathematics. But what we did is say, okay, some legs are undoubtedly the most heavy of all, like going around Cape Horn, going from the Falklands to via South Georgia, Tristan da Cunha to Cape Town. That is very heavy stuff because you can expect quite a bit of bad weather. Other legs are a bit more, you may expect a little bit better weather, so no storms or not regularly have storms. And also we had a look at the possibility to find help, to seek help, if anything would happen to us or to one of the guests on board. And that's how we categorized it in 1 or 2 or 3, let's say, little waves we use as a sign. Actually, the one wave signed voyage legs are generally coastal voyages, where if anything happens, we could call a helicopter, we could ask for help from the shore. The two wave legs are a bit more remote, or a bit further in the ocean, open ocean, for example. You cannot have a helicopter to help you. But for example, from Cape Verde to Brazil, it is in circumstances that are generally light. It's not too bad whether you may not have you may not encounter a storm, where on other legs you are for sure will be encountering storms. So that's how we did it. But as I said, it's not mathematics.
I understand. Thank you.
Then Karen Murray has a question. Hi, Karen. If you unmute, yes.
Hi, thanks very much for very informative introductions there. My question is really around participation. If you're sailing, joining as a sailor on the legs, or you say guest, are you incorporated as a part of the crew, full member of the crew in terms of participation, or how does that work?
I think another good question for Gerben to answer.
Well, you know, it's yourself, Elvira. What we always say is we are Dutch ship, and we are Dutch style. That means we don't run a military ship. So you're not sent up aloft, and you're not sent in the galley to do dishes. But we will kindly invite you to help us with everything you may be able to do. So if you're a bit elderly or you don't trust yourself up in the rigging, you don't need to go. If you want to help with navigation, of course you can. If you'd rather stand behind the wheel and steer the ship, that's also possible. But we do ask everybody to participate in the watches. And then within these watches, you can do whatever you're able to. So it's, let's say, a soft approach, but we do want you to be engaged, to be part of the crew within your capability.
Okay, thanks very much.
Well, I have a question here about how we deal with cooking and food waste on board.
Shall I answer that again? We have a cook on board, ship's cook. He will store everything we need for the leg. He will try to find it. And the big thing for a ship's cook is not to produce waste, because waste is actually, you have to bring it first and then you have to throw it away. That's not good. We eat everything. That's one thing. So we try to not to have waste. If we do, we separate it and we bring it all ashore. So we will clean it. We will even wash all the plastics that we have on board, because otherwise it gets smelly. And then we store it, and then we bring it ashore in the next port.
Okay. And might be good to add that it is possible to, if you have any dietary requirements, that up to a certain point we are able to accommodate it. But please do note it down on the booking request form, so we can talk about if we can accommodate, or it might be better to bring something yourself. So, but there's quite a lot possible. Then I have someone who wants to know a bit more about the cancellation policy. Maybe something for Stu to answer. I can do it as well. Yeah, Stu.
Okay, sure. So basically, we're taking bookings currently. All bookings are completely refundable and can be cancelled at any time up until the 31st of December 2022. So this coming December. After that point, we have to commit with the voyage. We have to commit to all the places on the voyage and the bookings. There is a cancellation policy on our website, both the Darwin200 website and the Dutch tourship websites, which you can see. You can cancel after that point, but there's a scalable system which obviously builds up towards the departure date. So to answer your question, basically it's fully cancelable and refundable up until the 31st of December 2022, at which point we have to get serious. We have to know who's coming and who's not. From the 31st of January 2023, we have a cancellation policy in place.
Yeah, and it might be good to add that from that point on, we recommend to have cancellation insurance, because then if you have to cancel for some reason because you cannot travel yourself or you have to stay home for family reasons, then it will be covered by the cancellation insurance. The next question is Chuck Kent. I will ask him to unmute.
Here.
Yep, you're there.
Hi there. Hi, Stuart. As you can see, I have Mary with me here. It's great to see you. Couple quick questions. One is regarding activities on board during each leg. Is the emphasis mostly on sailing, or will there be presentations from skilled interpreters appropriate to each leg?
Maybe it's a good question for Gerben, how we usually approach the trips, and if Stuart has something to add to the story.
Yeah, I think that's the general approach. I'm there for the ship, I'm the sailor, and Stu is the project leader. So from my part, we will try to engage you in the sailing, and that is my job and my crew's job to have you all there to sail the ship from A to B or to C, whatever. Of course, your leg, the leg you will join is part of a bigger thing. And of course, we will try to keep you updated on that. There will be continuously a team of stewards on board, but I don't know exactly, but I can give the word to Stu to explain what they will do in that respect.
Sure. So thanks so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay. So we will have at all time 2 PhD students and a camera team of 2 on board at all time throughout the voyage. This is during the voyage legs, which is separate from in the ports. The PhD students and myself will certainly give presentations and warmly invite anyone that wants to be involved in the research at any time. They're very, very welcome to be involved in those ways. So to answer your question, yes, absolutely. We will engage everyone to the maximum extent that the conditions allow, and give regular presentations and invite anyone that would like to be involved in both the research and the outreach projects. I should mention that the Oosterschelde is a spectacular interior, complete with a beautiful piano, a wood-fired stove, and a bar. So she is a very special tool ship in that sense. So a very beautiful interior.
So if I could just follow up with one more question.
Yeah, of course, with pleasure.
In the event that Mary and I are both in good health and able to join you, you know me, you know us, Stuart. Is this voyage appropriate for people of our age and condition?
Yeah, so there's a variety of legs. So some legs are considerably easier than others. For example, sailing through the Chilean fjords is a relatively easier and calmer and more protected leg. Obviously, other ones crossing the roaring 40s and the furious 50s and the screaming 60s, perhaps less so. So if you have a little look at the itinerary, some legs are certainly clearly more sheltered and clearly more suitable than others. So yeah, depending upon which one you'd be interested in, absolutely.
And if you're unsure about the leg, if it's age appropriate or I don't know, please do email us or give us a call, because then we can discuss it and maybe ask some questions and then decide on which trip would fit you best.
Thank you very much.
I have a question, and I think it has been asked a few times already, if there will be a medic or doctor on board during our trips. Gerben?
Yes, not on all the legs. We sail, we are not obliged to have a doctor on board, and we don't have it because we have limited place for guests and crew on board. But for sure, we discussed this point just recently. On some of the legs, I will take one, whether it is a doctor or how you say that, a nurse, experienced nurse, but let's say somebody who is a bit more on the subject than we are. On the other hand, the crew, the captain, the chief officer, They all have quite an extensive medical training. We have to work in the hospital for a few weeks. We have to repeat that every so many years. And we have quite some medicines on board. And of course, the ship has a satellite phone connection with a direct phone connection to doctors ashore. But that's still, if you're in the middle of the ocean, you will have to deal with what you have. And some legs we will take a medic on board, yes.
Okay, then we have a question, I think it's for Stuart to answer. Can we help publicize the educational aspect to schools we have contact with?
Yes, absolutely. It's a little early at this stage. If you can just give us a few more months, then yes, absolutely. We're going to be rolling out a really exciting program and a really exciting rainbow of different projects that are going to be going live. So yes, absolutely. If you can register on the Darwin200 website, which is this element is totally separate from the booking process. If you can register on our site to be involved in the education side of the project as a Darwin mentor, we absolutely would love to be. We're actually also looking for 200 people with a science/educational background to mentor the Darwin leaders. So yes, if you can please register, we'll keep you very closely informed. We send out regular updates to our mailing list. So yes, please do register, and we'd be honored and very grateful to work with you in that regard.
Perfect. Then we have a question about the watch system that we have on board, how we, what the watch system is like. I think it's a good question for Gerben.
Also, you can answer that, Ophira. No, we the permanent crew like me, we will be normally on a 6 on 6 off watch system, and the rest of the crew, so you will be on a 1 on 2 off system. So we'll have a rotating schedule, and on the very long voyages, also the permanent crew may be on 4 on 8 off, but normally we are on 6 on 8 off, and the rest of the people will be on 4 on 8 off. Yeah.
Okay, a question for, I think, Matthias, because he has a good overview about the number of bookings. Are we fully booked on some legs or not?
Yes, we are. On the Happy Islands leg, the Tahiti leg, we are fully booked. On the leg 27, the legendary Cape Horn. On
I think the Chilean Fjords is also booked.
Galapagos, of course. The Galapagos to Easter Island leg is already fully booked. So there are like 4 or 5 legs already fully booked. Even on some we work with a wait list. Some we don't want to be full, for instance, the longer ocean crossings. Yeah, but it's going great. I see another question in the chat box regarding to this. Well, for now we're working on this. Well, at least it's published for like a month now, and around 50% of all places available is reserved, is professional booked by, well, many of you. So yeah, we do expect to sell the other 50%, of course, to make this happen.
Great. Then a question about flights and transfers. If well, our guests joining us need to arrange that themselves. The question or the answer is yes to that, but we will, if you need some extra help, we'll be, we can point you in the right direction. We are now looking also for partners in, well, all across the world that maybe can make a nice package to do before and after the voyage legs. As Stu already explained, we are in every port for at least 7 days, because then the Darwin leaders are on board, so it won't be possible for you to embark earlier or stay longer on board. But we do want to offer packages of nice, well, other options that you can do. For instance, if you book several legs in a row, then you have the 7 days in between every time, and then we would like to offer you a package with things you could do. It's of course up to you if you make use of that or not. What is the accommodation like and the number of cabins? What I will do, I will share my screen and show you the virtual tour we have on our website, because that will give you, I think, a good overview of what there is. Let me see how it works. I hope you can all see. I will ask maybe Stu, is it?
Yep, that's perfect. Yep, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes,
what I will show is, this is our interior. For the people that have already joined us on previous legs or trips, they know about it. We have a beautiful piano in there, and this is where we eat all together. So I think it's quite spectacular. And then I will show you a cabin. It's a little bit difficult. We have 6 2-person cabins on board and 3 4-person cabins. I will zoom out a little bit. They all have access to the upper decks for fresh air. And well, there is storage space, but not a lot. So think about what you bring. Bring a soft bag, for instance, not a suitcase, because it will be harder to stow away. And we have a few cabins that have a shower. And the rest of the cabins have its shared bathrooms and toilets. So if you want to do the tour on our website, you could go to dutchtallship.com and then to our ship and choose here the virtual tour. Let me.
Perfect.
Oops. Okay. Let me see what the next question was. Oh, Gerben, you have something to add?
Yes, I wanted to add when you were just saying about the things to do in the ports and the tickets and all these things. We are actually setting up, we first concentrated on all these legs and all the things that we needed to find out before we could, let's see, open this whole thing. But now we are looking into finding partners, but also to make a online community on our website where you can meet each other apart from these question and answer sessions. So you will, it's not finished yet, but we hope to finalize it this month. And then you will have an invitation to join that, and you can meet your fellow travelers and join, how you say, and share the things you find out together. So if somebody found out a cheap flight, or somebody found out a good hotel, or somebody is actually joining the leg after you and say, hey, can't you leave your rubber boots on board? Stuff like that. So we will set that up, and we hope to have that up and running this month.
Perfect. Oh, Elvira, I think Julie Fieldhouse also asked about the best legs for unsport wildlife. May I jump in really quickly on that one? Would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Obviously, I mean, all 32 legs offer extraordinary opportunities to see spectacular wildlife, including some of the most remote places on the planet. But I have to say, a few really stand out, and these are possibly the legs that are the less sparkly, that most people would skip over and not pay attention to, but I think are some of the most interesting of all. I mean, for those experienced sailors that want to see wildlife, and obviously South Georgia, you know, it's home to literally tens of millions of seabirds and marine mammals, and some of the greatest concentrations of subpolar wildlife anywhere on the planet. But equally, I have just to flag up 3 really exciting islands that most people kind of roll their eyes about. I've been to all 3 many times, each of them, and fallen in love with all 3. The Falkland Islands, or as Gerben very rightly put out to some of our friends, call them Malvinas as well. This is a hidden secret. It's an absolute wildlife gem that many people don't know about. And it has 5 species of penguins. It has the largest albatross colonies on Earth that we will get permission to go to. and a sparkling rainbow of mammals as well, from sea lions, subantarctic fur seals, elephant seals, leopard seals. So we're actually going to the Falklands twice, and I strongly recommend looking at the leg going from South America to the Falkland Islands, where we've actually planned in several stop days into the archipelago. It is an amazing place and has some of the most incredible wildlife that you'll see. I actually filmed a BBC series there, one of the episodes there. It's a very special place. The other two places that I just really quickly wanted to flag up that most people gloss over, but Ascension Island in the Atlantic, again, is a very little known, underappreciated treasure trove, from land crabs to some of the largest, the largest breeding colonies of turtles, and we'll be going there in the hatching season. And so you should see literally tens of thousands of turtles will be hatching at that time. So you should see a lot of the hatchlings come out at night, as well as frigate birds. There's an endemic species there, and an amazing range of other wildlife. The very last one is another UK overseas territory called St. Helena, which likewise is a spectacular island for its history, but also its wildlife too. It has an endemic wirebird there and a great range of animals, including the world's oldest tortoise called Jonathan, who's a bit of an icon. So those three legs, Falklands, or well, there's actually more than three, but the legs involving Falklands, Ascension and St. Helena are very special ones, and ones that most people I think would skip over and not look at. But I thoroughly recommend looking into them if you're interested in wildlife. And I'll be on all three, and very, very keen to take you to key wildlife locations. So hopefully that answers that question.
Thank you, Sue.
Cool.
I see there's the question if you guys need to become familiar with Dutch nautical terms. Yes, that would be helpful. No, the language on board will be English. So, but I'll promise that the crew will put in some Dutch words to make you a bit familiar. But first, start with pronouncing Oosterschelde in the real Dutch way. Let's see. Will solo travelers be guaranteed a same-sex cabin share? Gerben? If solo travelers will be guaranteed in a same-sex cabin, so if women will be
placed. You can answer that. You can answer.
Yeah. Yes, you will. You are guaranteed that we won't. If you're traveling alone and you're a man, you'll be sharing the cabin with another man or 3 other men, and same goes for the ladies. And then there's a question about washing clothes on the longer legs.
Yeah, well, we have of course a ship is always too small. If I would make it 10 meters longer, it would also be too small. So we do have a laundry, and we will do wash some clothes, but you can't use the washing machine twice a day, for example. We will collect it as a crew and then do the wash, and for everybody do the laundry and then give it back to you. And that's how we do it.
And then there's a Dutch question about pricing. Are the legs at the same price level as usual, or is this one more expensive in way of sponsoring? Nothing wrong, by the way.
No, it is. This is what is as usual. We just came out of 2 very, very difficult years. The ship's been sitting duck in Rotterdam and elsewhere because of COVID. So yes, the prices should be a bit higher because we have to survive. Another reason why the prices on these legs are higher than we usually charge is that actually you are paying for the project. So altogether, the money you pay, the money that is raised by the foundation, by Stu's organization for the whole project, it all contributes to making this whole voyage, including the Darwin project, including the Darwin Leader project, everything possible. That's the answer.
Okay, thank you. how many people in total will there be on board for each leg? Matthias, to put you in the mix.
24, except for the longer oceans crossings. Then we would like to have one cabin or a few berths available if something goes wrong or something. Well, for 80 days on the ocean and you don't like your roommate, for instance, then we could shuffle a bit, so, or store extra if necessary. So, well, but on the other ones, we will host 24.
Okay.
At least, well, if 24 of you apply, of course.
That would be great.
So you're talking about 24 guests?
Yes.
Excluding
Yes.
the professional crew. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's excluding the professional crew. So there will be 7 crew members on top of the 24 guest trainees. Well.
I saw another question about if we accept professional crew applications. Yes, we do. So please send your resume and we will look at it.
Same goes for the doctor's positions. I saw someone asking, please do send us an email to info@oosterschelde.nl, and then we can get in touch and well, see what is possible.
There's a question about updating the legs with free places. We're literally tomorrow going to be updating the Darwin200 site, and I'm sure Dutch Tourship likewise. We'll literally put on full on the legs that are full. So if you can just hang on about 24 hours, that'll be updated. So to be clear, as Matthias very kindly mentioned, about 4 legs are full, but the other ones will be listed very clearly on the site.
I want to add to that of course, some people, when a leg is full, for instance, as is the case in the Galapagos leg 15 of the Darwin200 Global Voyage, you can be placed on a wait list because until, as Stu already mentioned, until 2023, it is still a professional booking. So people might want to join us on another voyage or might withdraw. So please go into the waiting list and you perhaps would be possible to join us at that time.
Hugh has a question. So or hold on, maybe yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if you have a list of necessary or recommended gear that we would bring along with us.
Yes, we do have that. We have a nice brochure for that. So when upon booking, you will when the booking becomes confirmed, we will be sending that to you, so you know exactly what to bring and what not to bring.
Thank you.
Gerben, you raised your hand. Maybe you wanted to add something.
Yeah, so some questions that I can quickly answer. Philip asked how much nautical or seamanship training will be done. That's all up to you. We will try to engage you as much as possible in everything we do. That includes general maintenance, that includes the pumps and engines and generators. It includes the seamanship things like star navigation or whatever. We as permanent crew, we are all let's say seamen. We like to teach other people what we know, and together we know quite a bit. And if you're happy to learn from us, we'll be happy to teach you. So anything. And another question, astronaut, yes, of course, we will do that. If you like it, we will do it. We still have a sextant on board. We still know how to use it, so we can teach you as well. Is there swimming off the boat when appropriate? Yes, but it's not so often appropriate because we will be on the way. But of course, when we're anchored in nice places, of course, we will be swimming off the boat, yes. Okay, that's the questions I just saw. I thought I can quickly answer.
Yeah, I'm just going through a few questions. There are some questions about trying to travel together and maybe make travel plans, but I think that would be very good to discuss in the community that we're setting up at the moment. So we still have some time. As soon as the community is online, you can enter your group or your leg, and then you can connect with other travelers and make travel plans together. And there are a few questions in there that are about a certain booking. We'll get back to you about that as well. So better not to discuss that with the whole group. I think we're sort of there.
Perfect.
Or does anyone have another question or wants to share something? I see Carter raising his hand.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there, it sounds like the Darwin students are going to be on land. Is there going to be competition for accommodation when we come to these ports for accommodation? Because they're all going to be obviously in accommodation too, or are they going to be on the boats when you come on shore? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, the students will be on board. So everyone leaving the ship and arriving to the ship, they might encounter each other, but we're going to try to offer or to bring you into contact with companies that could help you with accommodation if it would be tight. So I can imagine on, I don't know, the Falklands, it might be, or St. Helena, for instance, it will be more difficult than to find a hotel in Buenos Aires or Sydney or the larger cities. So we'll try to make it as convenient as possible for you.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. I think we're there.
No,
No, oh.
I see some more questions. I think this one can Gerben, or no, Stu answer best. Will the young expert travel with us or stay at land?
Okay, so the Darwin200 leaders, those are the 18 to 25-year-olds, don't sail on the ship on the voyage legs. They come to the ports. The reason for that is because they have very focused, very specific objectives, working with local NGOs in the ports where Charles Darwin made landfall. In a nutshell, it's much more complicated than this. And you can watch an hour-long talk on the Darwin200 YouTube channel about the project. But in a nutshell, they have to select a subject that Darwin studied, whether it be an animal or a plant, look how it's changed over the last 200 years, and then put forward solutions to help solve those problems. And through that process, we train them and give them skills and basically real experience working with real conservationists. So to answer your question, the Darwin leaders are not on the ship on the voyage legs. They come into the ports on land in between the voyage legs. But we are working on having a group of PhD researchers to undertake research projects during those voyage legs. So we will have those researchers on the legs at sea as well. Hope that answers that question.
And
I saw another question about the levels or that we've talked about earlier, where you can find them on the website of dutchtoolship.com. If you enter the sailing schedule, you see the whole list of trips that we're making, legs that we're making, and if you click on them, you can see the level it has. And if you're unsure, you can send us an email, of course. I don't think it's on the Darwin200 website, the levels.
No, it's not.
Okay, I saw someone waving, but all the blocks change. So if you have a question and you want to get that answered, then maybe wave again. I can ask you to unmute. Okay, I don't think so, but 2 new messages.
Stuart, I just have a comment for the group.
Of course.
Sure.
Mary and I have been to Fernando de Noronha, and I can speak very highly of especially the marine life in that area. The land is not so spectacular because it used to be an Air Force base. But if you're interested in marine life, it is one of the most amazing places we've been. You want to think about scuba certification for that location, but it's quite spectacular.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. It is an amazing, amazing island group. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Perfect.
Okay.
Well, if everyone is aware, we're doing these sessions on the 1st of every month at the same time. So if you think of any other questions, please do join us next time, and we'll be putting this evening as a recording online as well. So if you want to go back and watch any bits and pieces of it, it'll be online for you. So we really, really hope that you can join us on this exciting voyage around the world, and really look forward to seeing you aboard. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Perfect. Have a lovely evening. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for the crew.
Pleasure.